I hope you all had a very merry, wonderful Christmas. We did. It was very quiet, but very, very nice, and spent some time with my husband's family on Christmas Day. So today I am going to relax and do some stamping. Today I'm going to be making cards for the new year, and these cards are going to replace the Christmas cards that I wasn't able to send out over the Christmas season. If you know, you know. However, our postal service is back up and running, so I'm anxious to get these cards sent off in the mail to my loved ones. I am going to use a technique that I showed in my previous video, using leftover strips of paper to make a beautiful background, and I then embossed the background with clear. And I had mentioned that if anybody wanted a video specifically on that technique, let me know and I would be happy to do it for them. Well, this is that video, and thank you for your feedback, my friends. This technique is not this technique is not a new technique, but it's always new to somebody, right? But it's also a technique that I gravitate to and I come back to time and time and time again, because I don't like to waste my paper, and this is just a great way to make beautiful cards and use up all your scrap bits and pieces. Having said that though, the technique is so cool. I have been known many times, and I may do it today as well, to just cut my pattern paper just to create this technique. So either way, it's a great technique to have in your repertoire. So as always, I'm stamping on the fly, bringing you along with me, and I'm really, really looking forward to having some creative time with you today. So without further ado, let's start stamping. This is a stack of 6x6 paper that I've got in my stash, and you can tell that I've been using some of it. This was actually to make my jars pretty for the gifts that I passed out at Christmas time with my canning. So I'm going to cut this up. Look at this one's perfect for New Year's cards with the wine glasses. Here's another one where I cut a label for a lid. So I'm actually going to go ahead and cut these pieces into strips, and I am not going to be particular about the size of my strips, the width. So you can keep them you know, 1/2 inch or 1/4 of an inch, whatever you want. I'm just gonna go ahead, look at, there's an envelope, perfect. I can always use an envelope. I'm just gonna go ahead and cut these into strips. I should also mention that this is the Iconic Celebration Designer Series paper, I think it is. So I've pulled out a few different patterns, and I am making quite a few cards. So this is going to give me a lot of cards. I just want to pull out the pieces that have the circle cut out of them and start slicing. So I'm just sliding along and cutting as I go. Okay, so there's a whole whack of strips. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these and cut them into squares. So I'm going to cut, I think I'm going to cut some in 1 1/4 by 1 1/4. You can do rectangles, anything you want. I'm going to keep these 1 1/4 by 1 1/4 for these ones, and I'm going to put them all in a little pile. And then this one is 2 1/4, so I'm going to do 1 1/8, and I'm not going to worry so much about it not being perfect. I'm going to set those aside. And we'll do these ones 1 1/2. That's not 1 1/2, that's 2. That's okay. And I'm just gonna go ahead and slice and dice the rest of this. Alright, I have lots of awesome strips to work with, all different patterns. And when I'm making my cards and I have leftover strips, I do like to make a panel right away. So I don't have a lot of strips just lying around. Okay. And then I have some 2x2 squares. And then I have an assortment of squares and rectangles here. So, trying to get, for the most part, my smaller squares in a pile. And then this part is so relaxing. All I'm going to do is I'm going to cover, I have a piece of retired cardstock. I'm going to cover it with my adhesive sheets and then just start laying the paper on top of it. So I'm going to fast forward because it'll be pretty self-explanatory what I'm doing as I go along. This is what you're going to end up with depending on how you layer all your bits and pieces. And then all you do is just trim it up. And then all the pieces that you're cutting off can be used on your next background. Okay, and then I'm going to trim my cardstock just a little bit with the trimmer. And then I'll show you how I'll finish these cards. And then look at all these wonderful pieces from my next one. I have 3 finished pieces using all the same Designer Series paper. And these are ready to be cut up. And I'm going to get a lot of cards out of these. So the first thing I want to do is show you how different this will look if you decide to emboss clear on top of this. So let me cut a piece of this out. I've gone ahead and I've cut out some pieces. So these measure 2 by 4, 4¼ by 2½. Okay. Now you can just go ahead and put these on a card base. Okay. Which will look really pretty. Just, you can put them on just like they are. I'm going to show you a whole bunch of wonderful cards when these are done. But you can also step them up. You can run them through embossing folders. You can emboss them with your metallics and basic and powders. So that's what I'm going to show you with these pieces. Okay, so really pretty, right? Now you just wait. I am going to kick it up a notch. Okay, so that's just my Versamark ink, getting the whole thing covered. Next, I'm coming in with my clear embossing powder. And cover the whole piece. Okay, and I heat that in a second. I'm bringing in the Elements of Text. This is available from Stampin' Up! Next month, and I had mentioned in a previous video I'm going to be using this so very much. I just love it. Okay. Inking this up with my first mark. Just gonna put that on like so. Okay, and then I'm gonna get some splatters on there. Oops, don't want to put that on this piece. Okay, now this, I'm going to put gold embossing powder on. Okay, I can't wait to see how this looks. Now I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Bring this back in. Keep putting my stamps on the pieces that have embossing powder on it. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing. Some gold powder. Okay, and then this one, I'm going to take my first mark all over this one. Clear embossing powder. I have 2 pieces with just the clear embossing powder, 2 pieces with the gold embossing powder and the stamps. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and heat those up. All right. Now, I first have to show you the gold pieces because they're my favorite. I just love how these turned out. So pretty. Okay, and then we have the ones with the clear, and look how much brighter and more vivid that is, right? Super cool. Okay, so now I've got clear on here. Now I'm going to stamp right on top of that clear embossing with the gold, so I can show you the difference with these compared to this one. Okay, and I'm not worrying about stamping on top of what I've just stamped because I can't see it anyways, but it's gonna look pretty cool regardless, just because of the type of stamp set this is. Okay, what happens. Okay, see how that gold is just staying right where I want it. Okay, and then that is going to melt into that clear embossing powder. Okay, and it's all going to be shiny. And alternatively, you can go on top of this with the gold, with the clear on top of the gold too, and you'll get the same type of effect. So no right or wrong really, it's just a matter of playing and experimenting. Okay, really pretty. Now I'm going to show you the difference of doing the gold on the bottom and then the first mark on the top. Okay, so I'm not sure which piece I want to do. Oh my goodness, they're both so pretty. Well, let's just do this one. Okay, so let me show you what happens. The gold will spread out more underneath that clear embossing powder. Okay, so you still get the beautiful pattern, but it's definitely not as distinct. And then here you can definitely make out that there's words on there versus here. Look at the difference, right? Very, very different look. So that's the fun of using leftover pieces and experimenting and going for the, you know, just going for a different look. Now out of these, this is my favorite without the clear embossing powder on top. I really like this just with the gold, but these are pretty stunning, right? Okay, so we still have one more piece that doesn't have any stamping. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pinch just a little bit of gold powder. I'm just going to kind of drop it onto my card panel, I should say. It's not really a card yet, is it? So I'm just kind of dropping and letting a few sprinkles go here and there, okay? So what am I going to do? I am going to take my heat tool and I'm going to heat it from the bottom. See how that's melting from the bottom? Because if you do it from the top, it's going to blow away, right? So that is another fun way that you can incorporate your embossing powders onto your projects. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to run this through an embossing folder. So I'm going to cut this down at 4 inches, okay, and I'm going to cut this at 5 1/4. So I'll save this for another card. I'm going to run this through my embossing folder. And I'll be right back. Okay. So it's embossed, very subtle. However, I'm going to bring in my, I think I'm going to use early espresso, and I'm just going to lightly go on top. See? Now you can see the pattern of that embossing fold. This time I'm going to take my Versamark ink pad and I'm going to swipe it across the flat side of the embossing folder and run another piece through. Okay, I'll trim this one up afterwards. Now you've got the gold with all the colors coming through and the pattern of the embossing folder. For this one, I'm going to ink the stamp up with my Versamark. And then I'm going to go on top of it with my early espresso. Stamp it down. Okay. Then I'm going to grab my splatter. Stamp a little bit here, a little bit there. My clear embossing powder. Go back on top and add a little bit of gold with this. Whoops. Oopsie daisy. So you see, you could really play around with this technique. So many different ways. And let's bring this piece back in. And I'm going to go over the entire piece with my Versamark ink and cover it in clear. See, the ideas just keep on coming. And then I'm going to add a little bit of gold after I emboss this in clear. Love that. And then the words again are not distinct because of how it's blending in with that bottom layer of embossing, but I love it so much. I want to add some more, and I'm just going to go in a different direction here. Because this has been embossed, it's raised, right? So you're not going to get a perfect covering of your embossing powder, but it's certainly going to be enough to make it look pretty darn stunning. And there you go. That piece is completely transformed. So pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and start cutting these into pieces for my cards, and then I will show you the finished cards once I'm all done. I have my card bases done. Okay, so I've just glued on my strips, and I am pulling in our designer series paper that's part of the storybook suite coming out in January. I think this is going to fly off the shelves, so if you're a demonstrator, you can pre-order this, which means even if you were to buy the starter kit now, you can go ahead and add this to your starter kit. Otherwise, make sure you are ready to place your orders when this catalog goes live, because I mean, this suite, look, you can tell I've been totally using this suite. The paper is absolutely stunning. Look at that. Absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Oh my goodness. And here's the stamp set that goes with it, and the stamps are actually larger than the images shown on the front of the case. And there's dies for these, and I also got the storybook garden patch, and there's dies with this as well. So super, super fun, super, super pretty. And what I've decided to do, even though this is kind of a wintry card, look at these pieces that pop out. I want to use these characters because I think they are absolutely precious. Like, there's 2 sheets. Like, look at that. Oh my gosh. And look at this little one. I'm just gonna pop out both pieces. Like, I just think these are absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pop these onto my cards using Stampin' Dimensionals. Look how sweet these are. I just love them. And even though, you know, you've got a little bit of, you know, snowflakes and trees on the background paper, it works. It works because I also have hearts. So it's not like I'm using total, you know, Christmas pattern paper. I mean, I've got a little fishing guy. Perfect for my dad. Who doesn't want a 2025 year full of fishing, right? And look at this cute little squirrel with his bike. Like, I just absolutely love, love, love these. And then this one, super cute, knitting away. And so fast and fun. Little mouse. Aren't these cute? So I have 20 cards here. And once I figured out kind of my layout, they went together pretty quick. So sweet. All said and done, I got a ton of cards out of those 3 pieces of cardstock that I used the strips on. And I still have these pieces left, plus this piece that I'm going to trim out and put on a card. Just haven't gotten to that yet, but I want to show you what I have completed. So let's start with the ones I just showed you a second ago. And I went through and I added a little banner where I stamped the Hello Friend, which is from the Storybook Friends stamp set. And I just die cut all the little banners and added some iridescent rhinestones. So that's how I finished those cards. And then on the inside, I just stamped the sentiment, may this year be incredible and filled with possibilities. And I'll have a list of the supplies down below for you as well. So I think they turned out super great. I'm really, really pleased with them. And everyone's a little bit different, of course, depending on the strip, right? I'm so tickled with these. Okay, so let me show you the other cards that I made. And I also have to say, I love, by the way, stamping the script on top of the numbers and embossing in gold just to get that pretty texture. So I've got the Misty Moonlight ink with the first mark stamped on top, and then the gold, and some of them I did silver. Now, this is one of the first ones that I put together last night, which is when I started the video. Finishing it today, wasn't pleased. It was one of those have to walk away. I was just getting too tired. So that was that one. And then this one I did this morning. And as I got rocking and rolling with these, see, this is another one where I was going to do a pop-up, and it just wasn't the right video for a pop-up. It just wasn't working out for me. But I think that one still turned out pretty decently. But then I really kind of started getting my creative juices flowing. Here I just used a punch, and I partially embossed, and then used my Simply Scoring tool to get that line down below. And then this is the inside piece that I stamped or punched out here. Okay. Here's another one where I did my punch with the white and embossed the script, and then put some of that really pretty embossed. Well, there's a lot of embossing. There's the dry embossing as well as the heat embossing on that. This one, just a little fun fold there. It's hard to see, but I got the script stamped along the side. Okay. This one, just keeping it simple, just a 1-layer card with the piece on here, and then the sentiment embossed in gold. This one I punched out a circle and stamped and embossed the script and the splatter inside. And then on Early Espresso, I stamped the sentiment and embossed in white. And then the last one, just simple, matted it on some cardstock, stamped along the side, and added my little banner, little ribbon, a few embellishments. So those are the cards that that I have come up with. And ordinarily, my friends, at the end of a video, I share snapshots. Needless to say, that would be a lot of pictures to take and a lot of editing. So hopefully you don't mind that I'm not going to do that tonight. It is getting late and I'm going to call it a day, but I really wanted to get this video up for you guys, and I'm just so pleased with these cards. I can't wait to pop them out in the mail. And as always, I really hope that you got some inspiration today that you can use for your card making. Of course, these cards can be used for any occasion. Just change the sentiment, and there you go. So that is a lot of cards, and it was such a great way to spend the day, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for watching, my friends. As always, I encourage you to hit the subscribe button, the little bell, to notify you when I upload new videos. Feel free to leave comments. I love reading them, and I hope you have a very wonderful, happy new year. Take care. I appreciate you, and happy stamping.